Pre-statistics. Rational exponents part 3. Lesson objective. Simplify expressions that have rational exponents using a calculator. We'll begin by reviewing the properties of exponents. So we have looked at counting numbers, we have looked at integers, and we have looked at rational exponents. All of these powers have the same properties. If you have like bases and you are multiplying, you add the exponents. If you have a power raised to a power, you multiply the exponents. If you have more than one base to a power, then every base is raised to that power. If you divide with like bases, you subtract the powers. Negative exponents have this property. If you have a negative exponent and it's in the numerator, you send it to the denominator. If it's in the denominator and it's negative, you send it to the numerator. And if you have a base to a 0 power, it's always equal to 1, as long as b is not equal to 0. So we have the 6 basic properties of exponents. Here's some examples of each of the 6 properties using rational exponents. This would be good practice for you to try each of these and see if you get the correct answer. Let's do our last example involving rational exponents. Example 5. Find the following. A is 12 to the 1/3 power times 12 to the 1/6 power. B is the quantity 5 to the 1/3 times 7 to the 1/4, and that's being cubed. We have the product of 2 to the 6 times 4 to the 6 raised to the negative 1/6 power, and we have 10 divided by 10 raised to the 2/5 power. So for A, the base is 12. We are multiplying, so we add the exponents. So we need to take 1/3 plus 1/6, that will be our power. 1/3 plus 1/6 is equal to 3/6, which is 1/2, and 12 to the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root of 12. So this is an acceptable answer, and so is this. These two are equivalent. For part B, we have 2 different bases raised to the 3rd power. So for every base, each power will be multiplied by 3. So we have 5 raised to the 1/3 times 3 power, and we have 7 raised to the 1/4 times 3 power. Multiplying, we have 1/3 times 3 is 1, and 1/4 times 3 is 3/4. Well, 5 to the 1st power is 5, and then if you recall, our index is 4, the denominator. Our power is the numerator, so that's our radicand, and we can simplify 7 to the 3rd power as 343. So our answer is 5 times the 4th root of 343. See? Again, we have 2 different bases, and it's raised to the negative 1/6 power, so our first step is to multiply each power by negative 1/6. This gives us 2 to the negative 1 power and 4 to the negative 1 power. To make the exponents positive, the bases are in the numerator will be sent to the denominator, so we have 1/2 times 1/4, and that's equal to 1/8. D, we have 10 divided by 10 raised to the 2/5 power. The bases are 10, so we're dividing. We subtract the exponents. So if you don't see an exponent, it's understood to be a 1, so we have 1 minus 2/5. Getting a common denominator of 5, we have 5/5 minus 2/5, and that gives us 10 to the 3/5. So if you recall, the index is the denominator, 5. The power is the numerator. So we have the 5th root of 10 to the 3rd power, or 1,000. Using the graphing calculator, if we carefully type in using parentheses, we see that the answer is 3.46 approximately, and the square root of 12 is the same number. It checks. Number 2, we get 21.52 approximately, and that is equal to 5 times the fourth root of 343. Part C, we have the answer being 0.125, and you change that back to a fraction, you get 1/8. It checks. And D, 10 raised to the 3/5 power, is the same thing as the fifth root of 1000. Thanks for watching.